On this episode of the Mad Rush podcast.
Yeah, we want to take our Chasing Color and Light and eventually turn it into some retreats, and where Christie might plein air paint with people, or I can take people into town and show them how to take pictures with their iPhone.
This is what I love about social media. I know social media has a lot of negative things about it and gets a bad rap, but I have made so many wonderful female friendships over Instagram and social media, and people I've never met in person, but it's just a beautiful way to find your people as well.
Welcome to the Mad Rush podcast. I'm Trisha Addix, the original sorority rush consultant. While the stories I have to share are nothing short of astonishing, this podcast goes beyond the wild client tales and sorority life. I'll be engaging with fascinating guests from both within and outside the Greek world, uncovering the surprising connections that bind us all together. Join me for a journey that's as entertaining as it is enlightening. Welcome to Mad Rush. Today, I'm so grateful to be joined by artist Christie Farese and photographer and branding specialist Allison Muirhead. So much a part of my journey is about the connections I've made throughout my life. My business is based on the desire to help young women make connections as they go off to college. It is connections that bind us together. It is a natural fit that I have these two women on my show. Welcome, Christie and Allison. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. We're excited.
Yeah. So where are y'all joining me from? Tell inquiring minds want to know.
So I'm in my art studio at my home in Madison, Mississippi.
And I'm in my office at my house in Oxford, Mississippi.
Okay. So I don't know if y'all listen to this podcast or if this is your first episode, but there seems to be a Mississippi theme going on. And I don't know why, because I'm not from Mississippi. I just happen to gravitate to Mississippians. I don't even know if that's what you're called.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So speaking of connections, I tell people all the time that when they're done with Rush, when they join a sorority, like everything, it's not add water instant friends. It takes time to nurture friendships and make a deep bond. Sometimes, though, it is instant. Christie and I don't know, how do we originally connect on Instagram? Did we both follow Ellen Scrimetti, or what was that about?
I was wondering that today too. All I remember is you posted a piece of my art on your story and tagged me. And I was like, that is so kind. I don't even know this person. And then I said thank you and I reposted it. And then you were like, I'm going to try to find a place for this piece of art. And then we just hit it off because we had so many mutual friends connected on our Instagrams.
Yeah, so that's exactly what it was. I forgot about that. So she is an amazing artist. And at the end of this, and in the show notes, there will be a way that you can see her art. But I mean, she's uber talented. And I saw this art and I was like, I have to have this. And I love art. I collect art in a very not bougie way. And I just like to surround myself with it. And we messaged on Instagram and immediately knew that we were going to be friends. Like she said, we have friends in common. And as we talked, we realized that we are both on a similar journey. She and Allison, who I also connected with really quickly, are planning to launch a podcast this winter. So we're all three creative people expanding and entering a new territory. And as I said, Mississippi is a common thread.
Yes.
So tell me about how you and Allison connected, and just tell people listening, I think I know this, but a little bit about how y'all met and what you do and what your podcast is going to be about, that kind of stuff.
Well, funny enough, Allison and I met. We were guests on someone else's podcast. And I knew of her. Allison is a revered photographer here.
True,
She's very successful. She is. And so I always knew who she was, but we had never really met or crossed paths. And so that night we went to dinner after the podcast and we just hit it off and stayed in touch. And then And then we were just on a walk one day. Randomly, I'd come to her with some issue I was having. I was like, I need to talk this out. And she said, let's go for a walk. And so we went for a walk. I think we walked like 5 miles. I was dead afterwards. And
It was a long way.
Wait, I'm going to interject. She walked 5 miles with makeup on. I guarantee you. Did you have makeup on?
Oh.
No, I didn't.
No, Christie.
Christy may have it. I don't know.
I probably did.
Yeah, so I'm just interjecting and telling on you. So, well, one of the things about this podcast all the stuff that I'm doing is I have to wear makeup. And I do not like to wear makeup. Right now, we figured out that my screen is making me look like a purple people eater. So we're going to work on that. But I do have on makeup. And Collier, my producer, when we started this, was like, you're going to have to wear makeup when you record this podcast. And I was like, that was almost a deal breaker, honestly. But so fast forward, I'm talking to Christy and Allison, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. And she's like, she was in the mountains. And she said, okay, well, I'm going to keep talking to y'all while I go put on my makeup. And she was going on a hike. And I don't know anyone else first off, she doesn't need it. But second off, I was like, wait, what? You're going to put makeup on for, anyway, I digress. But so you were walking with makeup with Allison, 5 miles.
We did. We walked and solved my little problem. And then she said, I was thinking about you the other day. I was driving back here from Oxford and I want to start a podcast. Well, little did she know that probably 2 years ago during COVID, I had the same thought. And I have notes and notes and notes in my computer, exactly what I wanted it to be about. And I said, what do you want your podcast to be about? And it was no lie, exactly the same things that I had written. It was such a God thing. And we said, we've got to do it.
Yes.
And we just, yeah.
That's a common theme that I've seen. And I talked to Ellen Scrametti about this, who you both know, I think. I know Allison knows her. But the common theme with all of this is that when you start talking and you start, peeling back the layers even a little bit, there's just so much connection. There's so much, commonalities that we all have no matter what our journey is. And that's something that I really want to get into on my podcast. Yeah, it's about Rush, but it's also about interesting women and our journeys and where we're going with that. And regardless of the person I'm speaking with, there's always some sort of like light bulb aha moment. And I was explaining to Ellen that there's this story that I'm dying to tell called The Magic Sidewalk. I call it The Magic Sidewalk, but it needs photographic evidence. And since this is audio, we have a YouTube channel launching, but it's so much like what you just said. And anyway, I just think it's so cool that I keep having these light bulb moments with people that I meet. And it sounds like you guys had one too. Another commonality, which is a little bit more interesting for this podcast and the Rush stuff, because we're still in the middle of Ole Miss Rush, is y'all both went to Ole Miss.
We did, but we did not know each other when we were here.
No.
Were y'all there the same years? The same year. So. How was your 1 year of college?
Right? Yeah, we were there. We were here at the same time.
She's in Oxford. That's
crazy?
why she said, yeah, that is. So talk about each one of you about your different, because your college looked a little bit different, each one of you from each other. I don't think that was grammatically correct at all, but so Allison, you go first. What was you weren't in a sorority, right?
I was not in a sorority. I was an athletic trainer, and I'm actually a 4-year letterman.
Oh, that's cool.
In football, of all things. I earned my letter.
I never knew that till today. Never knew that.
But no, there was not time being an athletic trainer to be in Greek life. So my tribe, my group came from other athletes. I lived with the female athletes. I, of course, worked with the football team and a lot with the volleyball team. But I lived with the female athletes. And so therefore, and back then we were required to live in the dorm all the time. Like you couldn't live off campus.
Right.
So we made quick friends. That's the whole dorm was full of nothing but female athletes. And that's where my group of friends came from. And that's where I still talk to all of them on a pretty regular basis.
And that's so cool. And we'll hear from Christie in a second. But that's what I always tell people when they call me to be my clients or to learn about what I do. I'm like, I'm not sitting here with a bow in my hair thinking everybody in the world needs to be in a sorority. But I do think everyone, in order to have a successful college experience, needs to make connections and have their people. And so I just happen to know about the sorority rush system, or I happen to know about that and have researched it. So that's where I can help people. But, you don't need to be in a sorority to find your people, but that's just happens to be one way. And it sounds like you made those connections. And so you didn't need to do that. And you wouldn't have had the time.
Yeah. But you do. You find your group. You find who you have things in common with. And I'm not saying I had things in common with every single female athlete that was here. I didn't. But I found my group. And my daughter was here and then did not do Greek like either. She played soccer here for a little while and then proceeded to finish school and loved every minute of it. And she didn't do Greek like either. But you can still make it. Like if you get cut from the sorority that you're dying to go into, find a new group. It doesn't have to be that, even though you think at the time that it's the end of the world. It's not. You can still find your group.
And that's great advice and something that I see all the time. And the mother's expectations and your expectations, that's, it's a different journey for everybody. And you don't have to be in Greek life. I think, like you said, you can find your people. And if you do get cut from something that you had your heart set on, then you just need to try to rally and find a new way to, succeed in your journey. And what about you, Christie? And by the way, they're both super much younger than me and they look it and it's really annoying.
No.
But anyway, so we weren't in college at the same time.
Yeah, so I was in the Greek system. I pledged a sorority and, they were my people. I was very happy there. And, I say it was the best 4 years of my life. I had a lot of fun. I made my grades, but had a lot of fun. And I was actually rush chairman one year and just loved every minute of it. And I would say that those girls in that chapter are, to this day, some of my best friends, and then also just the connections you make from the people in your chapter and the people in the other chapters. If I think, I need to go to Nashville and get involved in the art scene, I will know somebody who lives in Nashville who is from that stage of my life. But like Allison said, it's just finding your people and being part of a group, and it doesn't have to be the Greek system, but and I feel like on the flip side of the coin too, it does seem like the most important thing when you're that age and you're going through rush and you want everything to turn out perfectly. But, and I told my daughter this, who's in college right now, there's so much more life to be lived after that stage of your life. And yes, you do make wonderful friends, but just look at the three of us. Like you said, immediately that day on Instagram, and this is what I love about social media. I know social media has a lot of negative things about it and gets a bad rap, but I have made so many wonderful female friendships over Instagram and social media, and people I've never met in person, but it's just a beautiful way to find your people as well, And
it's also, like you said, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn or whatever, but I have probably way less followers than her anyway, but I saw this art. I was like, well, if I love this, some other people are going to love it. So I'm going to expand by posting your art. And again, it's, I wasn't getting anything out of it and I didn't want to get anything out of it, but I just thought, this woman who's a great artist needs to be celebrated. And maybe somebody not from Mississippi would be interested in seeing. I know you have a lot more followers than Mississippi people, but so after Ole Miss, you went to Nashville to do the art scene. Is that what you said?
No, I was just using that as an example of, I can look back and, you meet people from all over the country and you just have those connections. So you just have like a little black book of people to call, when you need some help. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, and women helping women also not part of the whole reason that I have my business, It's All Greek to Me, is because I went through Rush my freshman year and did not get into a sorority. And I know how that sounds, but stay with me here if you're listening, because I lose a lot of people at that statement. But again, I was devastated. It knocked me for such a loop, and I lost my self-confidence, and I was alone in this, I've said this on the Origin Story podcast, but I was alone at a school where I didn't know many people. And my friend Garrett, who listened to that first episode, was quick to point out that I did know more than one person, because I exaggerated and said I only knew one person, but that's how it felt. And so that was adversity. And I'm going somewhere with this. I'm not just trying to talk about myself for however long this is, but I know it's not an adversity that a lot of people understand, because it is a Greek story or whatever, and a lot of people don't understand that. But that feeling stuck with me. That's why I have a business. That's why I have a successful business, because I understand that feeling. And I understand the feeling of people that age just trying to connect. And so when you and I started messaging and talking, and you started talking about your podcast, I had my light bulb moment with you, which, like I said, I've had a light bulb moment pretty much with every single person that I've met on this journey. And so talk to me about what your podcast is about and how it came to be. And I mean, not how it came to be. I know you all were walking and talking, but like, just somebody can tell about your podcast. That's a very long-winded way of saying that.
Well, I will just say, and I know Allison and I were talking about this on the phone earlier, how we're such good friends and we have so much in common as far as just our core beliefs and what we believe about friendships and just ethically how we move through life. But we're also very different. Our children are different. We have different situations that are different. And so for me, the podcast is exactly what you're saying about how you handled your getting cut from Rush when you went to college. It's about resilience. Like for me, I have been through some trials in the last 10 years in my personal life. And, one huge source of inspiration for me came from other women, whether they were women in my personal life who grabbed me and took me to the church and like, we're going to sit down and pray, or we're going to, sat with me, or we had a glass of wine or whatever, or listening to podcasts. I mean, I feel like podcasting is such a good way to, just get immediate therapy and inspiration, or, for whatever you need. So, and I just think it's beautiful how when women do support each other, it's just so powerful. And I know it's just affected me in such a positive way in my life, coming from other people, and then me wanting to give it to other people. And I surround myself with people who are uplifting and encouraging, and I've just have a beautiful group of friends. And now I have Allison, and now I have you, Trisha, and I just think it's such a beautiful thing. I don't know. So I want to talk about it. And so that was my idea for the podcast. But I want Allison to talk about kind of how it came about for her, too.
So I've always wanted to celebrate the women, not just of Mississippi, but of the South especially. But just we all have grown up, at least I grew up, we talked about this with the whole makeup thing. Like, you don't go to the store unless you're dressed and you have on your lipstick or whatever. But we're also business owners, and I might be a mom and I might be a wife, but I'm also a business owner. I mean, I own 3 businesses. I want to show that you can do it all, but you have to do it with the support of others. You cannot do it by yourself. There are times I call Christie. I'm like, okay, you got to help me. I don't know what to do next. And she calls me and we do the same thing. Like, you just have to have each other's support, and you have to lift each other up instead of talk behind each other's back. Like, you have to tell them to their face, I appreciate you. You're doing a great job. Don't talk about them behind their back. Don't say one thing to their face and say something else behind the scenes. But I just wanted to share everyone's story because everybody has a story. And being a photographer, I love to tell the story using my lens. And this was just another way for me to tell the story, not necessarily using my lens, but using my words and just finding everybody's story. That's how I take pictures. I sit with people and I ask them all about themselves. Tell me about this. Do you have kids? Where are you from? And I just get them talking because they immediately relax, and then I get the shot that I need.
That's
versus
super cool.
Stand here, turn this way, bend your chin, like all those terrible things that everybody remembers from their school photography. But learning everyone's story. And then I was like, Christie, I want to tell these stories. I want people to know what everyone does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody has it as easy as it looks on Instagram. Nobody.
That's a very good point. And it's a very good point for all the things. And like Christie said, social media is great for some things, but it's not great for other things. And it's not great when you're sitting there in your dorm room and you're sad for whatever reason, you're lonely, you're missing home, and you haven't found your people yet, which takes time. It's not add water. It's not instant. It takes time, and everyone's feeling like that. But they're also posting on Instagram the snapshots and the quick things which is what you want to do. You want it to be positive, but you also need to know that not every moment in that person's day is amazing, and that it may be, and that's great for them, but they're not posting the down times. And you made a really good point, Allison, and there's a whole chapter in my book about this, about asking for help. It's so important to ask for help, whether it's with your friends or in my business world, it's, you got to make connections. You got to ask for people to write recommendations, all the things in this world. And it's okay. And you have to do it. No one can do it. No man or woman is an island. You cannot do this alone. You can't. Any of this. And if you could do it alone, it wouldn't be nearly as fun or fulfilling, in my opinion. So tell me what the name, tell me the name of your podcast and I guess what the goal is. I mean, you kind of just said that, but I'm just clarifying.
So the name is Chasing Color and Light. And that kind of, for me, that's kind of always been my tagline for my art, like on my hashtag, just because I think you have to be the change you want to see in the world. You have to look for the positive. And I know we all get down, and, I'm not saying I don't, I definitely do, but it's just about looking for the good. And then, for me, I want it to be, I just feel like we have so much pretense, especially in the South and especially in Mississippi. And I just feel like since I've turned 50, I'm just over it. I want authentic people. I'm not saying we have to let it all hang out. I know we're not going to do that.
But you don't, because you look good all the time.
You're so sweet.
I mean, I'm not kidding about it, but she's not letting it all hang out. I'm just telling you people that.
You can tell me that all day long. Well, I just want women who have been through something, which guess what? Everyone has. And if you haven't, you're gonna go through something. So anyway, that's kind of my goal for it, is to have some women who want to open up about, and it may be about how you started your business and some struggles that you've overcome in that arena. I mean, it can be about anything, but some stories that have some authenticity and some meat and can actually help other people if they're going through that same situation. And like Allison said, highlight all these women who are so amazing. I mean, I love men, but I love women. When these women are just amazing, and like the Junior League of Jackson, which Allison has been a huge part of. She's chaired Mistletoe Marketplace and all the things. But I'm like, we need to have them run for president because our country would be so much better.
Yeah, the
so
authenticity
that's
is
kind
such
of
a
my
great
goal
point.
for the podcast.
And yeah, I'm kind of sick of it too, and it is kind of ironic because if you don't delve into what I do, it does seem like it's not authentic on the surface. It seems very surface, but I've been bullhorn telling people, I mean, these young women that are in college, they are lifting each other up. And as I said on Ellen a couple weeks ago, actually just came out today, but it will have been a couple weeks when when this comes out. Being authentic in all you do is important, and it's important in Rush. It's important in life. It's important showing your best self. The only way you can do that by being authentic, because if you're faking it, that's going to come out real quick and quickly in anything you do. Meredith, my mentor, when she was on my podcast, she was like, they can see through that in a hot minute. If you're like, hi, my name is Trisha. How was your summer? Or whatever. It's like, okay, they're not getting to know you. That's a canned answer. And so just being authentic is important in that, if you're listening for that. And if just in general, and not like you said, I'm not here to do that anymore. Or I don't know if I ever did. I've never been good at sugarcoating things. That's not a skill I have for sure. So Allison, I think it's also important that we talk about how much you guys do. Allison, you have 3 businesses. What are they?
I do. So I'm a photographer and have been for 24 years. I run Cultivate Branding and Design, which is a design and branding business. I do some marketing, some business consulting, that kind of thing. And then my fun business is Sneakers and Suitcases, which is my travel blog. And just
wait, can I interject something about travel, and then you can tell us about travel blog? What is the deal with every 18-year-old that is my client or not my client going to Croatia, Greece, Italy? I have never been to any of those places. I want to go, but I'm 56. Like, it's a thing, and they're doing it in a way that they're not hostels. Like, they're not stopping. I mean, I'm seeing these kids and they're drinking Aperol spritzes on the Amalfi Coast, and I'm like, what is happening? What is the deal with that? Why? Can someone please explain how all these kids can afford that? Because I don't understand it.
Well, I don't know how they can afford it because it's not cheap. But it's much easier in Europe to get around. Like, once you get there, you might as well stay for 3 weeks, because the train systems and the ways to get from place to place and city to city, and it's very easy and it's very inexpensive. And I mean, Southern girl can get on a train, work the train app, and go to where I need to go. It's not hard. You can do it. I don't know what it was. I think after COVID, everybody decided that they were tired of being at home and they hadn't traveled and they hadn't spent money, or these people are just racking up credit card debt. I don't really know.
I just want to be invited. I just want to be invited.
About that too.
Okay, good.
We want to do that. We want to take our Chasing Color and Light and eventually turn it into some retreats, and where Christie might plein air paint with people, or I can take people into town and show them how to take pictures with their iPhones. We don't have to have a fancy digital camera. We can use our iPhone, and just a women's retreat to get away and travel. And I love Italy, but my last trip I went to Croatia and I fell in love with Croatia. So
everybody's been to freaking Croatia.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, my friend Missy and I've talked about, Missy is like crazy talented in all that she does, but she also doesn't know it. And so we took a painting class together, and all of a sudden everybody in the class was looking at her and they're
love
like,
it.
Hello. Like, you're really, 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 really good. So she and I've talked forever. I did not have that reaction, just so you know, when I was painting. But we have talked about going to Italy to paint and she wants to do it. She has been to Italy a bunch, but I know she was just there this summer, and she's on a plane to Ireland right now. But anyway, I digress. My point is the travel thing is real. And so do you have a blog? Is that what you have?
I do. I have a blog, and I named it Sneakers and Suitcases because I travel in a carry-on.
Oh,
No,
for
I
the love
don't.
of God. No, Christy, I know you don't. Christy, no. No matter what, you travel in a carry-on?
I have a carry-on and backpack, and I wear my dresses, and I literally take one pair of flats and one pair of sneakers.
Oh, so now this is not going to work. I'm sorry.
You don't have to do that.
No, I'm just saying that there's an aha moment here. Like if we could take a tour of my shoe closet, I mean, it's a big time when I go for a weekend trip and I don't take 10 pairs of shoes.
Yeah, like I love shoes, but in Europe, I just wear my tennis shoes with all my outfits, and that's why I call it Sneakers and Suitcases.
Well, that's a very cute name. But I would have Chanel sneakers. I would have Louis Vuitton suitcases. I would have Valentino.
But when you train travel, you have to go light. You can't lug their train stations. You have to go up like stories of stairs. Like everything's underground. You have to go up the stairs to get to the train tracks, and you can't carry 6 suitcases with you up those stairs to the train tracks.
So I'm going to wait to travel till I can afford to pay someone to carry my 6 suitcases up the stairs for me. Well, I do know we went to Ireland with my son's football team, which is why my friend Missy is on a plane with Georgia Tech people going. Anyway, long story short. But anyway, in high school, when my kids were in high school, they had a football game in Ireland. And that whole suitcase getting off and I had some really cute clothes with me and a lot of them. But my husband and I flew on a different flight. The football team flew separately. And we get off in Ireland and get off the train. I was like, wait, where's the bellman? Like, I can't. So my husband was the bellboy for me. But okay, so yeah, I'll say that I'll travel light, but I feel like we need a whole blog about people who are kicking and screaming with the not 25 pairs of shoes. If I'm going to Europe,
that's right.
I'm going to have a moment with my clothes and my jewelry. I'm just saying. We need to add that so I can bring that to the equation when we go on our trip. I can tell y'all how to do it not like that. I'm just kidding. I don't need a travel blog. I'm not very well traveled. But yeah, so Christy, how did you get into painting? I mean, y'all, wait until you see her painting.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I was kind of like you. I've always loved art. I've always collected art. Once I got out of college and got married, I started really collecting Mississippi artists and just always had a love for art. And then when my kids were little, they're probably 3 and 5, I just took an art class because one of my friends was a painter. And I said, I wish I could do that. And she said, well, just come take my art class. And so I did, and I just loved it, and I just really stuck with it. I'm not one of those people who, from kindergarten, I was drawing these magical drawings, and my art teacher said, oh, you're going to be a famous artist one day.
It's a prodigy.
Yes, I did not have that experience. So I just loved it and stuck with it, and here I am. And I still have a lot of growing to do, and I want to get better, but I love it. I just love it.
How often do you paint? Like, what's your process? Do you paint like every day?
I try to paint every day. I travel a good bit, so sometimes I can't do that, but I try to paint every day. I do try to, but I like to procrastinate a little bit. So, like, this painting behind me has to be done by Saturday, and today's
y'all,
Wednesday.
just so you know, it's Wednesday, and that painting looks a lot like I do right now. For some reason, my camera's making me beet red, and all it is like shades of pink and red.
And it's the biggest painting I've ever been asked to do. And here's the funny difference in personalities of me and Allison, which we complement each other really well. But we were on the phone yesterday, and she's in the photo shoot as well Saturday morning. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just painting my booty off, trying to get this painting done for Saturday. And she said, well, how are you going to transport that thing? And I said, I don't know. I'll figure it out. So, I'll figure it out Friday night, and then she's just would figure it out yesterday or before yesterday.
It's good to have people that balance you like that.
That's right.
For sure. I'm a planner, and some of my very best friends and these business people are not. and it makes me crazy. And nothing negative about them, but like, I mean, I know what I'm doing September 19th. I've already organized the girls' night out for September 19th. Today is August 21st.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I'm playing in it. That's just it's just how I am. But
I'm already planned through next May.
okay, so she's making me look bad.
I'm not.
I can't help it. It's the job I have. It's the travel. I have to have it planned out, or I'll never get it all done. But I want to do it all. So
yeah, and you are doing it all with your 3 businesses and all of your starting a podcast. I think if anybody takes anything from today is that you can do it all, and you guys are doing it all, and it's a journey. It doesn't start off being perfect. Took us 25 minutes to get onto this podcast. Technical difficulties, which were no fault of my producers, and thank God I have him, because we would still be like, wait, I can't hear you, I can't see you. But anyway, it's all a journey. And for those of you who are listening, who are in college age, it's just it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not instant add water. Sometimes it is with the connections. Sometimes it's not. And you have to be okay with both of those things.
But make the connections. Like, now that I'm in my 50s, I realize how important those connections are. So don't stand in the corner.
Right.
Go out and make yourself meet 5 people. Christie is kind of an introvert when we go to things, and I kind of have to make her go meet people. But you have to make yourself go out and meet people, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's just not.
Yeah, and I see that a ton, and I think I know I've said it before, but I also kind of don't remember what I say week to week. But if you're sitting in your dorm room and you're sad and you're texting your high school friends and you're saying, oh my goodness, all these girls, nobody says, oh my goodness anymore. That's what I would say. But, oh my God, everyone here knows each other. They're all best friends already. That's not the case. And people want to know you. So just have the confidence to say, okay, let's go out. And if the person can't go out, I do a lot of confidence, confidence coaching. And these beautiful, smart, really dynamic girls are like, well, nobody wants to hang out with me. I'm like, okay, I promise you, if you reach out, maybe they can't do something that one night, but they're going to people want to be wanted. They want to be asked. So I want to be invited. So please feel free to invite me to Europe.
Yes.
But no, I'm saying that people want to be invited, and people sometimes say to me, oh my God, you have so many friends, you know everybody. And I get that a lot, but I also have these moments where I'm like, well, I want to be invited, So just know that nobody is looking at you saying, well, I don't want to be invited by her. We just want to be invited. So make the effort. Like Allison said, make the effort, and you will be rewarded for that effort.
Go in your dorm lobby, order 2 pizzas, and ask people if they want a piece.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean,
make everybody love pizza as much as you do. No, that's great.
Or insomnia cookies, or whatever it is.
No.
Like be like, hey, my mom sent me this giant box of stuff that I love. I'm going to share it.
And if you're a mom listening and your daughter's struggling, that's a great idea. Send her a giant box of insomnia cookies. Those things are lethal.
Yes.
They're so good. They come hot, and it's sort of like Domino's pizza. You can order, but it's cookies. And then I think they have ice cream and like chocolate milk. Anyway, but
don't eat them all, or you'll be like me and gain like the freshman 30.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that.
That was going to be my next statement. But yeah, no, that's a great idea. And keep your door open in your dorm. I mean, not the whole time, but keep your door open, and people will stop by. They will, because they want to know who's behind the open door. They don't want to know as much who's behind the closed door. So that's great advice. And both Christie and Allison are moms, and they know what they're talking about. And that is great advice. And it's advice that moms of new college students should definitely take. So
It's kind of like what we were talking about, a story, and that everybody has a story. Well, I mean, ask them.
That's a great.
Just start asking questions. Don't walk and talk about yourself. Just walk in and say, "Hey, where are you from?
Right.
You have a boyfriend?
Yeah, that's.
What are you majoring in?" Yeah,
And then you'll find connections. That's the whole reason the three of us are sitting here today, because you'll find connections. I mean, it took us 5 minutes to come up with connections.
Mm-hmm.
And she's an artist in Mississippi, and you're an artist in Mississippi, and I'm not an artist in Atlanta, and it took us, I don't even think, more than one text to come up with connections. So you will find commonalities, and you'll find commonalities with people in your sorority. So don't say that everybody already knows each other and they've already closed their group, because that is not the case. Okay. So is there anything else y'all want to add to that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I love what you're doing, Trisha. I really do. And once we connected on Instagram, the first thing I did was go listen to the first episode of your podcast. And your story is just, just the fact that you're taking something for you that was traumatic. I mean, that is a traumatic experience, and using it to help others. It's really inspiring to me.
Yeah. And there's no part of me that is saying that is, I mean, there are a lot of traumatic experiences one can have, and I'm not discounting them or saying one is worse than the other. I'm just saying that when you have trauma, no matter what it is, overcoming it is hard, and it takes a lot of time, and it's just something in that. I mean, I've had other traumas, but that is the one that led me to this business. And, I don't want anybody to feel like I did.
Mm-hmm.
So one person at a time.
Right.
Okay, so Bama Rush Talk popularized the hashtag OOTD outfit of the day. So for Mad Rush, I'm repurposing hashtag OOTD into observation of the day. So what are your hashtag observations of the day, if you have one? Have some, whatever, one, some. Allison?
Okay, I'll go first. 1, sunshine makes me happy.
Oh, that's awesome.
And 2, I'm normally a red wine girl, but lately I have really been digging some champagne and Prosecco. Maybe it's because it's hot as heck in Mississippi. I don't know.
Yeah, red wine to me in the summer. I'm not a big wine drinker anyway. I'm a vodka girl myself. But red wine that seems so aggressive in the heat. Unless it's got some ice and sangria ingredients with it. All right, what about you? Okay, go ahead.
And then I got to tell about my little boys down below.
Oh
me.
yeah. So listen. So when we were waiting for her 30 minutes prior to the podcast to get technical difficulties figured out, tell them what you heard and where you live, how you heard this.
Okay, so I moved to Oxford, Mississippi about 3 weeks ago. I've been from Madison. That's how Christie and I met. And we sold our house, moved to Oxford. So I'm currently living in our condo in Oxford. And I was sitting upstairs in my office, and across the grass from me is a condo full of fraternity guys. And they all came back, obviously, yesterday, because I haven't seen them out there. And today I'm just sitting here listening while I'm working, and they are having an in-depth discussion about what they want in a girlfriend and in a wife, and how they just want somebody who is good, has a good family, comes from a good family, doesn't go out and party all the time. They want somebody who's serious, who likes what they're doing. Like, it was just so neat and refreshing to hear that they were sitting, having a conversation like girls do about what they want in a female. So y'all, if you're listening and you tend to be more of a party girl, you may just want to consider that.
Well, that goes to authenticity. They want people who are authentic, good family people. And so if you're not comfortable going out and party, you don't have to do it to meet a great guy. If that's what your goal is, not your goal, but if that is one of your goals, you don't have to pretend to go out and to love going out and partying, because there are all kinds of guys out there that are not looking for the party girl. That's really refreshing to hear.
Yes.
And I love that you said fraternity guys, because they also sometimes get a bad rap.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Christy, what about you? What's your hashtag observation of the day?
Well, mine is a little bit deeper, but one thing I've really been noticing lately is that, and I don't know if it's with all the political stuff happening, but it's like anyone can just say anything and it's just a fact. Like there's nothing to back it up. They just, regurgitate something they've heard, or I don't know. I just feel like there's not as many thoughtful conversations anymore. It's like I'm just going to say what I want to say, and it doesn't matter if it's really true or not. And then that's it. So I don't know. I've just gotten to where I don't entertain people or conversations like that.
Well, that's a very good observation. And that whole, I have friends on both ends of the political spectrum, and I am not getting into politics on this, but it is very interesting to me how the facts are, I see them forming their opinion or their facts based on the particular media that supports their opinions, if that makes sense.
It does. And and this one thing I've talked to both of my daughters about recently is that, you can have your own beliefs and your best friend can have a completely different belief than you, but be able to have a thoughtful conversation and want to know why they think the way they do. And they should want to know. That's just what makes the world go round, is for us to be interested or curious about where the other person's coming from or what experience they've had that's formed their mindset that way. So I don't know. I've just really noticed that lately is people are just so ready to tell you something as total fact, and they don't care what you have to say back. So anyway.
Yeah. Authentic conversations. I thank you both for this authentic conversation. I'm so grateful that you guys are in my life. I cannot wait till your podcast comes out. I better be on it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about something besides Rush. My Rush podcast isn't even always about Rush. So there you go. But yes, no, I think you're both amazing. I really do. I love being friends with creative people. And I'm grateful you were here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Stay cool in Mississippi.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to Time Out with Trisha. Because can you really give advice if you don't speak about yourself in the third person? I don't think so. This is exactly how I speak to my clients. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. Now let's get into it. So today I want to talk about something that we touched on in this episode, and something that I see that I really want people to understand. So I see it every year, time and time again, after Rush is over, after all the hype of Rush Week, then all of a sudden there's a letdown period. And I get clients who think, oh, maybe I've pledged the wrong sorority, or everyone else already has made friends. That's not the case. Everyone is feeling like you are. It is not an instant thing. I feel like social media has made you feel like it's an instant thing. It's not. And for parents listening, when they call you, just know this is completely normal. I see it every year. Almost 100% of the people that I talk to feel like this. So I'm just here to say, even the people who, like, if I talk to someone who's from Jackson, Mississippi and pledged the sorority they wanted at Ole Miss, and they know people, they still feel like that. It's a universal feeling, and it is not an instant connection. So I have a couple suggestions of things that you can do. First off, be confident that people want to meet you. They do. They're not sitting around thinking, oh, I don't want to meet that girl for whatever reason. Everybody wants to be invited. They want to be talked to. So just remember that and be confident in yourself and put yourself out there. Ask people to go for coffee. Ask people to go for dinner or whatever, meet between classes, anything. Just put yourself out there with the confidence that other people are feeling the way you do and they want to hear from you. And if you're in a dorm, leave your door open. We talked about that in this episode. Make sure that you know that people know that you want them to come in, stop in, say hi. And when they do stop in and say hi, ask them about themselves. That's the only way you're going to really get to know somebody, is to know what their story is, where they're from, what makes them tick, what they really like doing. It's because I don't think anybody just loves doing a sorority. That's not really a thing. It's what you do. And a sorority is a way to help you find your people. And also being in a dorm is a way to help you find your people, and getting involved in activities on campus. But again, I think the main takeaway here is that everyone's feeling lonely. Everyone's feeling homesick at first. And you got to push through it. You're not alone. So, and one thing that one of my guests today suggested that I love is get some food. Go to a common area and offer it to people. You will meet people that way. And if you're a parent listening and you can afford it and you want to, help with your daughter or son with this boost, send them a big box of cookies. Tell them not to eat them alone and to go find people to eat them with. Anyway, just remember, you're not alone. This is a universal feeling. And if you push through and you make an effort, you will be rewarded. You can do it. I believe in you. And that's it for Time Out with Trisha. We'll see you on another episode of the Mad Rush Podcast. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Mad Rush Podcast. If you are enjoying this podcast, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. For additional Rush tips, updates, and more, please follow me on Instagram at Rush with Confidence. If you would like to reach out to us, or for more information, please email info@madrushpod.com. This podcast is produced by Collier Landry and Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Trisha Adams.